At the beginning of this part, Candace approaches Sam and tells him she almost calls 911 in fear. Sam is sorry for the last night. Before Sam leaves, she asks him to continue therapy. Inside the house, Alan is in trauma from that incident. And to prevent remembering the horrible scenes in his thought, he imagines himself in a therapy session with his deceased therapist, Charlie. He is surprised to see Alan there. Alan tells him it's an emergency and asks to help him. He's having problems staying composed in front of Sam. On the other hand, Charlie thinks that he needs to come out of this alive. In the meantime, Sam is digging the grave in the next room. Sam doesn't finish digging and comes to Alan. He is not happy with Alan's failure to prevent him to kill Elias. Sam then asks Alan to dig the unfinished grave. He takes Alan to dig into the next room. Alan thinks of attacking him and escaping, but he lacks courage and instead starts to dig it. Sam then locked the door and headed for his work, forcing Alan alone with his imagination. After digging sometimes, again into his imagination, he talks about his problems with Charlie. He also wants to smash the picture on Sam's head. Charlie wonders why then he doesn't do it. Alan says he doesn't want to die any sooner than he needs to. Nevertheless, Charlie believes that he is pessimistic and is not giving it a try. Charlie then recalls Alan's memory of when he used to wrestle during high school. Obviously, he is trying to build up courage and urging him to strike Sam. And according to Charlie, Sam's mother is also responsible for the abuse he suffered as a child. Meanwhile, Sam returns and takes Alan to his room, and locks him again. After that, they both sit together to eat. Alan then asks Sam to handle the body differently. He urges him to leave Elias' body where it can be found. Sam fears being caught by the police. Despite Sam's hard feelings for Elias, Alan asks Sam to have a look at Elias's face properly, and that Elias was not some guy who offended him, but to look at him as a human being, who had a father and mother who cares about him just like Sam's mother cares about him. Moreover, Alan wants him to consider Elias and his family and what they need. He is persuading Alan to leave Elias's body. Sam agrees to leave the body in a place where it can be found. When Sam goes to the restroom, Alan quickly writes a note with Sam's name and also a message to his children. He then tucks the note inside Elias's mouth. While doing so, he gets ink all over his hands, but thankfully Sam doesn't notice anything. He drags the body outside of the house. Alan takes a long breath and recalls his wife singing a song about rising up. After this, Alan in his imagination with Charlie, Alan Precarious awaits one of two situations. Either the police discovered his note containing his message in Elias's mouth and looked for him, or Sam discovered it and is going to kill him. Thankfully, neither of these scenarios occurs. After disposing of the body, Sam is back and sits for therapy. But Alan for the first time refuses his request and says he is tired and done for the day. Sam is surprised after listening to him. There is a shock on Sam's face. The following day, Sam heads out. He visits his old school where he studied during his childhood and catches up with the school counselor, Mr. Bucella. Sam wonders aloud if Bucella anticipated him to be miserable as he grew up. In return, Mr. Bucella tells that he knew Sam was different, but he had hoped best for the Sam. Out of nowhere, Sam requested Mr. Bucella to be his therapist. Is Alan's life in danger now? Give yours thought by commenting below. Mr. Bucella hesitates at first, claiming that he had never taken a former student for his counseling. Mr. Bucella then hands him his number and asks him to give him a call in a few days. Before they depart, Sam asks him if it would help if the patient lived together with their therapist. Mr. Bucella says, no, it would not help and they must not leave together for a speedy recovery. Meanwhile, Sam calls his ex-wife and wonders if she ever feels anything suspicious or wrong with him. She says, she never finds anything wrong. She thinks he was too obsessed with the food, and she had no idea if he actually loved her. However, she adds that he is a good guy. Poor she, once she finds his reality, will know how monstrous he is. When Sam arrives home, Alan is thinking about Charlie and his relationship with his son. He's angry at Ezra for making Beth's life difficult even in her final days. He explains that Beth was so sick that she wanted to die, on her own terms, that is, with medications. Ezra made a huge issue about it being unlawful and opted not to participate, which Alan viewed as condemnation and betrayal. Sam walks in with a hefty bag that isn't filled with food. He purchased a printer to print the Kaddish for Alan, who had previously indicated that he wished to recite it for his wife but couldn't recall the lines. Alan informs him that this is what he was discussing earlier. This is compassion in reality, and he appreciates it. After all, we know he's having thoughts to kill him. Alan also wishes to speak with him concerning what will happen whenever the police discover Elias' body. However, Sam says that they will not locate it as he's shifted his opinion. He became terrified and concealed the body someplace it would not be discovered. Alan is silent now, realizing that his plan has failed. Sam gives him a print of the Kaddish and requests that he can also hear it during his recital. Alan refuses his request, saying it is a private thing. Sam sadly heads inside his room but stands beside the door, overhears Alan reading Kaddish for his wife and possibly Elias as well. Meanwhile, Sam is at his workplace and finds that his boss Kyle enacted the laws about site reinspection. That rings the danger bell to Sam, and once the inspector is on the field for inspection, they would discover about missing person, which ultimately will lead to Sam. He doesn't want this, so Sam in threatening tone requests to drop the idea with Kyle. However, Kyle doesn't like his tone and advises him to be careful when he talks to his supervisor. Sam is holding himself back for the time being. However, it's obvious that his intentions are becoming violent. Elsewhere, Alan is dealing with his seething rage against his son Ezra. He talks to Charlie in his head, who assists him sort out his emotions with Ezra. Alan is upset because Ezra criticized him for not accepting his decisions, even though Alan believes he has been sensible. Charlie assists Alan in recognizing manner he has indeed been unfriendly. In the meantime, elsewhere, Ezra is on the street, which will most certainly stun Alan. Despite several grudges between father and son, Ezra is out there in search of Alan. Ezra elaborately hangs a missing poster of Alan with his face on it. In Alan's imagination, he believes Ezra is pretentious. Nevertheless, Charlie subsequently makes a comparison between Ezra's behaviors and Alan's. In fact, Alan has disapproved of Ezra's decisions. Alan then realizes that he has demonstrated greater empathy for a serial killer than he has for his son. He badly needs to visit Ezra so he may apologize to him. Perhaps he'll quit making excuses and start to fight for his life immediately. Alan's eyes appear to be brimming with escaped thoughts. Ezra is still concerned about his father, which has an impact on many facets of his life. He surprised his family by bringing home chocolate. Afterward, he rushes to Alan's house and takes up Beth's guitar, which he had previously refused to receive from his father. He sings, "Take Me Home, Country Roads." He also informs his wife about Alan's mistreatment of him after Beth's death. While Ezra appears to be unloading some of his frustration, Sam acts upon vengeance. He goes to a restaurant with his boss. When Kyle walks away, Sam pretends as if he just happened to see him. He takes him to a dark area where no one is passing by behind a restaurant. Sam confronts Kyle's wrongdoing of company policy and once more asks him to drop reinvestigation. Kyle refuses to do so. Sam finally breaks when Kyle called him a moron. Sam knocks Kyle to the ground and strangles him to death. He begins stepping away but suddenly turns around. Sam kneels by Kyle's body and utters whatever of the Kaddish he remembers. After that, he proceeds to a grocery store and buys a hot dog before calling Mr. Bucella. The school counselor agrees to be Sam's therapist. Sam eventually comes home and awakens Alan to play ping pong. When Alan is one score away from victory, Sam confesses to the murder of Kyle. Sam tells Alan that he wishes to change but isn't sure that's going to happen. Alan argues that everyone takes time to change and surely he will change. Sam does not appear to be interested in listening anymore. He informs Alan that counseling isn't helping and that getting him here was a blunder. He's never harmed anyone he cared about in the past, however, he may have to kill Alan now. It was obvious he was going to kill him once the therapy stopped helping him. But Ezra is looking for Alan. Does Ezra become successful to save his father? Let me know by commenting below. At the end of this part, we hear a scrapping and refining sound coming out from his foot's cream tube rubbing against the bed.